G'day traders. What I wanted to do is take 20-30 minutes just to give you an update on the 5-minute system and just to give you a bit more information. Obviously we watch it a lot in the trading room, so this sort of information really help you to understand and learn. And of course it's not always just about this, it's about taking real life experiences, real life stories, and then applying them to your situation. What I'm going to do today is focus more on actually getting into the trades and picking the better setup. So I will take a moment just to outline the specific trades I'm looking for, and then also bring up charts of real examples. But today is more about focusing on something I call the AAA system. You might have heard it talking about in the trading room, but it's specific predefined ways to get into a trade. Like we keep talking about being systematic. So of course you want a system where you're looking for a certain number of trades. As a newer trader, you might look for one specific trade. As you develop and grow in experience, you might look for a few more. Basically, I look for 6 different setups, but they come within 2 major categories. But I've sort of added trades over the time. So best just to focus on what you can handle to start with, and then grow from there. But like we said today, it's more about the specific entries and how to get into a trade. So let me start by just bringing up this Word document here. So basically here's the 6 setups. There's a 5-minute buy, 5-minute directional, 5-minute breakout. So they're all trade setups, which I'll take you through what I mean by a trade setup. And then there's the 2 fades, so 5-minute fade, the true fade. So they're both obviously fade setups, which I'll take through as well on the charts, and then a 5-minute reversal, which I'll explain in a sec. I'll get to more specifically about those and what a setup looks like for those that haven't really seen that yet. But before I want to do that, there's something here I just wanted to quickly touch on it, and let me take you through it. So what I've said here is keep things simple. So there's 6 setups there, and what I want to show you, it's not so much about the exact setup that's important, but rather about the area that they define. I'm looking for certain predictable areas, and that's what you guys are doing too, is applying something that's predictable. At the end of the day, we can't understand every single move the market makes, but you can take the time and effort to understand certain areas of the market. So I'm looking for certain predictable areas within the market, and these setups are just definitions of the area to keep me structured. Okay, so what the system is all about is simplicity and something that's easy to follow. Someone could pick up, I think a good system is something you could pick up within a day and start to implement it straight away. Something like this 5-minute system, I think it's fairly easy to understand, and most people that's got a little bit of market experience can go, yep, okay, I know how to find those trades. But the only missing factor, which everyone can gain, is market experience. That just takes time, and you need to spend time with the market so you can learn to understand the way the market works. And when you apply a good, simple, effective system with market knowledge, market experience, that's where you can really gain confidence and really start to make momentum as a trader. Basically, I look at 5-minute candles. Okay, so there's all different ways of trading. You can look at shorter term markets, 1-minute candles, 30-second candles, 5-minute, 15-minute, daily charts, weekly charts. At the end of the day, it's all based on the same principles, being structured and having a system. But I focus on the 5-minute candle. I find for me, there's plenty of action, yet not the chaos and the noise that comes with very short-term candles. When you break it down, I'm just looking for pressure points in the market. That's what my system represents, and basically to find that, I'm using the predictive average, and I'll bring up a chart with a predictive average on it soon. What I've found too is, going back to the market experience sort of thing, you could trade without indicators or without the predictive average and just use price action. Okay, and that's very important that you understand what's happening with the market. At the end of the day, indicators, a simple indicator is just something that makes life a little bit easier, but what's underpinning these markets is that you're understanding the relationship between the buyers and sellers. Like I said, you don't need to understand the market all day every day, but you need to, when you're going into a trade, understand that you're in control of this area and have a high belief that it's going in a certain area, and it's all about coming back to percentages of something that's going to work out. But what I find, with indicators, so I was saying it's important to have market experience, but with indicators, a couple of good basic indicators do a really good job at making life a little bit easier, and allows me to just relax and focus when I need to look at my pre-identified areas. And they're just there. They're like tools to make life easier. Don't rely on them, They're not the be all and end all, but they're certainly there to make trading an easier process and allow me to focus on what I need to at the time. Now within these pressure areas that are predefined for me by the predictive average, I find there's two main areas, and this is what I was talking about before. There's trades, so trade setups, and fade setups. So I've got 3 trade setups, I've got 3 fade setups. Okay, so I'll take you through what I mean by that in a sec. Trades, what I'm looking for is a continuation, and fade, I'm looking for a bounce. But what makes this system most effective is it always goes with market direction and market pressure. So let me show you what I mean. So here we go. Here we got a fairly nice trending day. You follow this moving average line, and that's the pressure. That's it, the direction of the market. So you can see here clearly we're going down. So this situation here, I'm not looking for any sort of buy trade. It's going to be a while until we need to bounce up, confirm the upside, get the predictive average moving back around. So back around here is the only time I'd be looking for buys. So always going with the market direction. So here it's obvious that you want to take sells and not even considering any sort of buy. Now when the predictive average crosses up with this downward pressure, that's what we call a fade. Okay, we're looking for the market to bounce, catch that bounce, and get a continuation. When we're looking for trade setups, we're looking to just go with the continuation of the trend. So here's the downtrend, we get the bounce, we're waiting for confirmation, predicted to again go with the trend again, and then we're looking for a continuation. So I think down here shows it really well. Again, we've got the market going down, we're breaking through support levels. Clearly we've got this moving average pointing down, so we're only looking for sells. Okay, we're coming down. Now the predictive average crosses up here, so we're looking to catch this bounce and sell from there. So that's what we'd call fade setups. Or as far as my other setups, the continuation setups, trade setups, we're looking for the predictive average to continue crossing down and going with the trend, and here we'd be looking to sell from here. Okay, so you can see that it's picked up on similar areas, but it's 2 predefined areas, trading areas and fading areas. Okay, and that's the strength within this system. Okay, so that's what I mean by again going through that. Trades, looking for a continuation. So we got the bounce, we're just getting a continuation of the trend, and the fades. Again, we're obviously going with the market direction, but we're looking to catch that bounce and then go with it. Okay, so it's effective because it always goes with the trend, going with the direction, going with the pressure. Okay, so essentially when I break this system down, you could look at it as just 2 setups. That's as in the trade setup and the fade setup. But what I do is I choose to take these 2 predefined areas and break it down a little bit further. So within these 2 setups, I'm looking for predefined sub areas. Okay, and that's what I showed you before back up here. Okay, so within this trade setups, I've got 3 predefined areas, each different, and I'll talk about entries. And then within the fade setup, I've got 2 particular entries. So I'm breaking it down further and having predefined sub areas. And then each area is based on the market behaving in a certain way. So they're predictable areas of the market that if I see happen, and I know I've seen it before, I've got a high percentage of getting this area right, and then it's just a matter of getting into the trade, and that's where the predefined AAA system comes into play, which I wanted to take you through today. So that's just an overall wrap up, just to give you an idea of basically what I'm looking for within the 5-minute system. Now let's take you through some exact examples and what I call the AAA system. Now basically, just to outline the AAA system, what I'm looking to do is, as I'm approaching each setup, so obviously now I've got each setup very well predefined and knowing exactly the area I'm looking for. Okay, so that setup comes, now it's just a matter of saying yes, I want to take that setup, or no, I'm going to leave that setup, it's not quite what I'm looking for. Okay, because at the end of the day you can have setups, but you don't need to take them all. You need to take the better setups, and that's where you're going to start getting your percentages up. So I want to keep things simple. Basically, for each predefined area, so as you notice there's 5 predefined areas plus a 6th area which is called a reversal, which I'll go through in a sec. But for each predefined area, I basically ask myself 3 questions. Okay, and each area has different questions because obviously each predefined area relies on different things happening. Like a breakout trade relies on a lot of pressure build up. Something like a fade setup is just relying on the market turning at a certain point, so support and resistance in that kind of area becomes a lot more important. Okay, so each predefined area requires different things, so I've found for each area I ask myself three defined questions, and if I can get a tick for each of those three questions, I go ahead and take the trade. If I don't get a tick for each of the three questions, so even if I can just get 2 out of 3, I'll leave the area alone. So it's very simple, black and white. Yes, I take the trade, or no, I don't take the trade. Let's take you through those now. Okay, first one. Okay, so 5-minute buy or 5-minute sell. So basically what we're looking for is a trend, getting that pullback or that retracement in the market, and then getting that continuation and to head on it. So it's very basic as far as the trade definition is concerned. It's just that basic trend, pullback, get a continuation. Okay, so the 3 predefined areas that I'm looking for. So the first question I'm asking myself is, and it's in relation to, is the market not over too extended and too far to the one side? So I'm wanting to take the first pullback of a trend, or at worst case, the second pullback. So I'm asking myself, is this the first pullback of the trend, or a second pullback that is solid? As soon as we get into a third pullback, fourth pullback of the one trend, I'm not looking at taking it. Okay, so I need a fresh market that's not too extended. First pullback is where it's definitely most predictable. Second area I'm asking myself is, what are the other markets doing? Okay, so we follow the other markets. What I'm looking for is, when we're getting this pullback here, I want to see the other markets are also thinking about continuing on the upside. So if all of a sudden you see the other markets pushing down lower and breaking lower, that's an indicator that maybe this trend is not going to continue, and maybe they're thinking about starting a new trend on the downside. So I want to see all the other markets at least holding or better than this pullback area. Okay, so it's other market support. Then the third area, it's more to do with the longer term markets, the dailies and things like that. So what I want is a strong destination point for the market to head to. Okay, so the market comes back here. As I'm getting the signal, I've got to have a belief that this market can go to the high and maybe even go higher. Okay, so it's more to do with looking at medium-term markets or daily-term markets. If we were in a very strong seller's market and you got a real belief that at some stage the sellers are going to come in strong, you might believe that this is just going to pop up and then go down. So it's bringing having a little bit of influence from the longer-term markets, and just, I guess, believing that that market can go higher. You don't have to sit there and contemplate over it for a long time. Just have faith that there are buyers around, and then okay, you can take a tick and away you go. So that's the 5-minute sell, 5-minute buy. So next trade I want to bring up is what I call the 5-minute directional trade. This trade often comes in the afternoon. I mean, it can come in the morning session, but what it needs is basically at least one trend, sometimes 2 trends, to base itself on, and then get pressure to go. Okay, so what I'm looking at is this area here. So it's not something that's going to come up very early in the day. What you want is, you can see the market basically push down a bit, came up, and then you got to have a belief that the market's going to start a new trend and start heading the other way. Okay, so this area here, I'm looking to get on a trend very early. So even though there's an up arrow there, don't be fooled by that. What I'm looking for is to pick up on a new trend. So we've got pressure coming down here. Okay, so taking a sell right here is not the best option. It's still new and you're not quite sure. You want confirmation that's going to happen. Okay, so what we're doing is we're starting to break down through support levels. We pop back up. Okay, so at this stage here, through watching these markets, got a belief, because this market's popped down here, that we are going down. We're starting a new seller's trend. That there's no sort of information telling me here that the market's going to go back to the upside. So I believe the market's going down. Okay, so we're not taking it early. We're waiting, getting the pop up, and then we're looking for it when it comes down, and you get that confirmation on the downside again. Okay, if you happen to get the opinion wrong and this market just continues on the upside, well, no damage done. We just miss out on a trade. But if it does confirm and do what we believe, then we're getting a directional trade. So this is a bit like a 5-minute buy, 5-minute sell. But what it is you can see it's very early in the trend. Okay, so we're just getting the predictive average crossing down, so that will be the case. And then you get the predictive average quickly crossing up and then crossing down. It normally is something that happens very quickly, as opposed to a 5-minute buy or 5-minute sell, something that happens over a little bit more of a longer period. Okay, so the 3 questions we're asking yourself with the directional trade is, first of all, what are the other markets doing at this breakout point? Okay, so again, this trade is a bit more reliant on pressure, because it's happening quite quickly and it's very early in the trend. So as we're getting this confirmation here, I want to see the other markets also confirming and breaking down and not maybe popping up and looking like they want to head in the other direction. Okay, that's the first question. Second question I'm asking myself, again, it's still with the other markets. What are they doing in the longer term? Meaning, what are they doing over the entire day so far? So I want to see the same sort of setup where it looks like the market's heading down. Okay, so other markets are pushing down in this area here, and more, through this period, have they got that same sort of look where they want to start a downtrend? And then the third area, again, it comes to, has it got a destination point to go for? So something like a directional trade, what you want is at least 3-4 points from a low area. Okay, so this market, I believe, is looking to go test its lows or come down to this area down here. You can see this is a significant area, 67. It's got to have an area that it can head to. If this same setup, so this market pushed a lot lower, then popped up and had this setup forming down round here, well, then it hasn't got a lot of room to potentially go, and it might get a bounce up a bit more. So it needs room, because it's a new trend, and it needs room to really extend it and go for that new trend. Okay, so that's the 3 predefined entry points for the directional trade. Okay, next area we're looking at is the 5-minute breakout. So again, this is under the trade setup, and you can see basically within the trade setup, they're all looking for the same thing. They're looking for pressure on the upside, the direction, the market, going with the moving average, and they're looking for this predictive average then to cross up and go with the trend. Okay, so the 5-minute trade, looking for a little bit more slower kind of action. The directional, like we just said, it's looking for basically picking up the new trend very early, and the breakout trade is quite similar to a directional trade. Again, we're looking for pressure and a break to the upside or downside, whatever that you're looking for. Okay, so obviously you need, the first thing with a breakout, you need a significant high or low area. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the high or low of the market, just a significant area that the market's turned at, that you believe if it comes back and tests it, it's going to push through. Okay, so this is, with this area here, we've come down, we've popped up. You can see this is a very significant point in the markets where if we come back and test it, I'd be interested in trading it. Now you can see when we go over here, there's actually 2 times it's come up, tested it, come back, so it would have been stopped out, it's come back a second time, and then it's broken through. Okay, so 2 areas I was looking for the 5-minute breakout, but due to my predefined rules, this one area said no, and this area said yes, and let me tell you why. So breakout, first thing what I'm looking for is, again, a bit like the directional. I'm looking at the area I'm looking to take the trade as the predictives crossing up. I'm asking myself, are the other markets breaking? So I'm looking at the exact area I'm looking to take the trade, and are the markets breaking? And so if you were to go back and have a look at the other markets, this area here, the other markets were saying quite flat, and what you would have seen is the Russell and a few other areas were actually quite a bit off and weren't hanging up around this swing high. So that's an indicator that it wasn't quite ready to go. When it came back a second time, the other markets were sitting right up here as well near this swing high, and some of them had actually even broken up already. So it's an indicator that the other markets are going and this market's going to follow. The second area that I ask myself is what are the other markets doing in the lead up? So again, a bit like the directional is what do they look in the longer term? So are they looking like they're forming this pressure and like they want to go to the upside? You don't want to see other markets kind of hanging down low and then keep on hanging down low and looking like they're going to go back for its lows. You want to see everyone looking like they're keen to go to the upside. And the third area which kind of really differentiated these 2 points here is, and this is probably, I should have said this first, and this is one of the most important things, is you've got power from the predictive average. Okay, so you can see with this area here, so here you would have been looking to, here's the breakout point, so I'm looking to take the trade within a tick or 2 of the swing high. Okay, you can see the predictive has crossed all the way down here, and then we've pushed up, and the market's quite extended, and it's likely to get a bounce back because there's no power or momentum behind it. The predictive's all the way down here, so to take the breakout trade, it needs to be down around here. That's nowhere near the breakout point. The second area, you can see predictives crossing up, and it actually would have crossed up at the end of this candle here. Okay, but what I would do is I want to see the predictive crossing up, even if it hasn't crossed up yet. If it's about to break, I'm not waiting till it breaks. I'm actually putting the order on 1 or 2 ticks before the breakout point. But you can see that predictive is crossing over. You've got power on the up, so it's just the 2 areas look quite different. This area, maybe it could break, but it's not looking powerful. It's not looking compact. Whereas this one here, it looks like it's got power, it's got predictive, everything's compressing and looking like it wants to bust to the upside. Okay, but again, if you have predefined areas, it makes it a lot easier to say okay, I'm not taking this area, yes I am taking this area, and you can rely on your system that way. The beauty about this, talking about something like that, is everyone's a different trader. I'm not necessarily saying everyone to go on board and do this system, but you can take this information and apply it to your systems. So this would work quite well with power fade trades. If you're looking at a power fade trade and you're looking for it to break up, push through that power point, there might have been a power point sitting here and a power point sitting over here, so you can apply those same sort of rules and use it in your system to get those great entries. So that's the 3 trade setups. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the 2 fade setups. Now basically within the fade setups, there's 2 major distinctions between them. I'll show you those 2 distinctions between the 2 areas first, and then I'll come back and explain each area individually. So this here is a 5-minute fade. So something like a 5-minute fade, think momentum. Okay, what we're looking for is again a 5-minute fade. Also, when you're thinking momentum, it usually picks up on an area earlier. Okay, whereas a true fade looks at something later. So this area here, you can see we're coming up, we're starting a new trend. It's pulling back. It's quite early, and you've got to believe that other markets and things like that tell you that this market's continue up, and we look to break and continue on the upside. Okay, and you can see this is quite a new area. The difference, so that and it's quite early. Something like a true fade, on the other hand. And it's almost an example here of this one here. A true fade is something that comes later. We're actually looking for it to break support or resistance, then come back. Okay, so it's not so much about momentum. It's more about pressure, and that it's got to a certain point, and that you believe the sellers are really in control then. So let me just quickly show you an example of what I mean by that. Going back to that original, so something like this. Okay, so let's go right back to the beginning. We've got market coming up, coming down. See here, we've broken support, so this means the sellers are really in control. So yeah, I'd be interested in this pullback here or retracement as a true fade. Okay, now we've got an uptrend here. You can see this uptrend hasn't broken up through resistance. It hasn't got back up to that high and broken, so there's not as much momentum, or sorry, not momentum, not as much pressure on the upside. So now when we're coming back, I'm not interested in this area because the sellers, or sorry, the buyers haven't got up there and broken into buyers territory. Okay, now obviously we've got a downtrend here. You can see now this time we've broken through support level. So yes, I believe that the sellers have power now, and I would be interested in this pullback and its work. So you can see 3 different areas. The 2 that have worked is where the true fade has broken support or resistance areas, and the one area that didn't work, it hasn't broken. Okay, then you might use a bit of a, this is not the best example, but going back to the true fade, this is more of a true fade where you're getting a new trend and you're looking to take the pullback quite early. For me, this is way too early. There's not enough confirmation here for me, but it's the example of it's about momentum, not about pressure. So you want it going up, quickly coming back, and then going again. It's very early in the trend. It hasn't broken support or resistance, but you're just going on other markets, really showing you that there's momentum on the upside, and you're going to get into this trade. So let me bring up some of the rules. So as far as true fade, so while we've got the true fade here, talking about specific rules for the true fade, the 3 questions I'd ask myself is, is the pressure or with the dailies or the longer term markets? Okay, especially in the first half a day of the morning session when you're just relying on taking these trades, without any sort of past market experience. So by the time you get to the afternoon, what you can rely on is past support or high and low areas. So for that reason, you can rely on previous markets. But if you're taking something a bit earlier, say quite early here, what you want to do is believe that the dailies or the longer term markets are supporting you. Okay, and also, and part of that is that it's broken these support and resistance lines. So as we get later on the day, it's not so much about the dailies. I mean, that is important, but the fact that we have got longer term, or what I'd call short to medium term pressure, because we're breaking through certain areas. Okay, and for that reason, you got the buyers or the sellers, whatever that you're looking for, on your side. Okay, so it's just about interpreting more medium term and longer term markets, and that you got that sort of pressure on your side, that we're breaking certain areas, or if you're taking it very early, that you're very strong, got dailies on your side. So I'd call that more of a pressure indicator as far as the first thing that we're looking for. The second thing that I'm looking for is other markets supporting. Okay, so let's take example this area, pushing down here, we're coming back. You can see where it's coming back, it's just retracing to basically the low of where we were earlier. So what I want to see is other markets holding that area, or even sitting on maybe a little bit lower than this area here. If you see all of a sudden they're busting up and breaking back into that range that they were in earlier, I mean that's an indication that maybe these markets are heading higher. So you just want other market support. And the third area, something like this, it's a little bit more of an aggressive trade, so you're looking to basically catch this pullback before you're taking it, before you get that confirmation on the downside. So something like this, it's important to have a fairly strong support or resistance area for it to bounce off. Okay, if there's nothing for it to turn around at, you've got to be very careful. Basically, you want something, because you're catching the peak of it, you want something that it will bounce off to give you that little bit more confidence in taking the trade. So that's the true fade. As far as the 5-minute fade, let me bring up an example for you. Okay, so 5 minutes trade, obviously you said before, it's quite different. We haven't got that breaking of the upside or downside yet. It's all about momentum. So remember, think momentum. That's your friend as far as 5-minute fades is concerned. So obviously the first thing I ask myself, first question is all about momentum. Okay, just from the look and the feel of markets. Again, I mean, feel is just market experience. So the more time in front of the charts, the more you'll get to understand these areas. But has this market got momentum, and you believe that it's continuing on the upside? It's got a destination point to go to. Are these highs up here something that you believe these markets can get to? Momentum might also be a bit more about daily charts and longer term charts as well, that you believe that an uptrend's coming. Other markets, so you want to see other markets again holding. So when you're looking to catch this pullback and then go, you want to see other markets holding and looking like they want to push higher as well. If you see other markets breaking down, like they're setting up for a 5-minute sell or something like that, then obviously you're going to leave this area alone. And also to support and resistance. So again, with any sort of fade, support and resistance is important, because we're looking to catch a pullback. Okay, we're not waiting for that confirmation. We're looking to get in a little bit earlier. As long as you got that support, in this case, it's definitely a safe trade, but it's one that's a little bit more aggressive. But with the aggression comes a lot more value within the trade as well. Okay, so you definitely need good support resistance areas to take that bounce. So that's the two fade setups. Hopefully you get a good understanding of how they work, and they definitely go with market pressure. It's not counter trending or anything like that. It's going with the trend and with the pressure, with the direction. But within that fade area, there's two different, distinctly different types of trades, fade setups. And then finally, what I've got here is a reversal setup. Okay, this is nothing that's I'm not looking for a particular thing, although I am looking for particular things, but basically it's a trade that overlaps all the other trades. Now to put it into perspective, most of you have seen the 1-minute charts and seen the PowerPoints. Now what used to happen with the PowerPoints, when David first created the PowerPoint system, and let me bring up a 1-minute chart. So here's the 1-minute system. When David first created the system, what he designed for, he was looking for 3.5 point movements. Okay, that's what the PowerPoints are based on, but he was always looking to bounce off a PowerPoint, take a PowerPoint trade. Okay, so as he approached each PowerPoint, if he believed it was going to bounce, he'd take the trade. If he believed it was going to push through, then that meant stay away. What he found over time is there was some trades coming up to the PowerPoint, for example, that he believed it just had a really high chance, like the PowerPoint trade looked so bad that he believed it was going to actually push straight through. And for that reason he thought, well, if I'm thinking that this PowerPoint trade is so bad it's got a high chance of actually pushing through, like this one here, then why not take it in the opposite direction and take it as, rather than this would be a buy normally, take it as a sell. And that's when he created the power fade. Okay, so it's the same concept with my reversal setup, meaning any kind of predefined area that I've got, if the setup is so bad, basically I get all these crosses and all this pressure in the opposite direction, it's a trade that I just believe is going to go the opposite direction. Well, that belief is so high it's going to go in the opposite direction, then there's reason to take it in that direction, and it actually becomes a solid or high percentage setup in the opposite direction, and therefore a reversal. So I call it 5-minute reversal. So where I would apply the 5-minute reversal is only in certain areas, breakout trades and directional trades and things like that. I'm not looking to apply a reversal it's not the best way to approach it. Something like a 5-minute sell or a 5-minute buy, that's something that could really apply it. So for example here, you might be up to like something like, okay, we've got the downtrend, the market's pulled back once, pulled back twice, pulled back 3 times. Okay, so this is the third pullback. So obviously I'm not looking to take it as a sell. We've got the third pullback. It's very extended on the downside. It's not a great sell to start off with. But the fact is too, when you look at other markets are breaking to the upside. It's got momentum forming on the upside. It's got all these holding formations. All these things saying that it's looking to go up. Yet we've got a 5-minute sell coming up here. So something like this, you could go, okay, well, let's look at taking it in the opposite direction. Buy. So I wouldn't buy it there. Always look for a 1 or 2 better tick fill, and then look for it to go in the other direction. Okay, so I'd say it's a trade just to be careful with, and you can apply it to any kind of situation. It's something to think about, but only do when at first I wouldn't worry about the reversal, but when you get a little bit more market experience, it's something you can definitely look at. So obviously with that, what I'm looking for is when I'm going through my entry system, and it's just obviously get all crosses, and everything's indicating that it's not going to work, and it's going to actually, there's a high chance of going the other way. That's when I'll take the reversal trade. Simple as that. So anyway guys, that's the setups. A quick explanation of right now what I'm looking at as far as a 5-minute system. More importantly, I want to bring to you the different setups and how I approach each predefined area, how I approach it getting actually into that trade or that fade setup. Remember for yourself whether you take this and use it yourself and make some changes yourself, or whether you just use this information to apply it to your system. It's all about just taking, I guess, the information, the experience, and making it work for you somehow. It might be different the way you use it, but hopefully it gives you a bit of an idea to help you move forward. So yeah, that's the 5-minute system. We'll talk to you guys soon.